So, to begin with, my name is Kevin, I am 18, and I've been doing drugs since I was 16. I've tried marijuana, cocaine, MDMA, LSD, shrooms, ketamine, Xanax, Oxycontin, DXM, crack only once, and meth only once. Also, I have done a number of research chemicals, 2CE, 2CI, 2CP, BK-MDMA, 4-MMC, and 4-MEC. I love testing my mind. So I'm a very big fan of MDMA, and there was a music festival coming up, but living down here in Miami, there's only BK-MDMA, which I have a very high tolerance from it. So I decide to order some 6 APB from a trusted vendor, which is known to produce MDMA effects. I am with 2 friends known as J and M. We get to the festival. It's a very big one. As soon as I get in, I hit the dance floor. Tiesto is playing. The beat of the song is very intense, and I am completely sober, so I decide to spice things up a bit. I drop 2 capsules each of 100 milligrams. As I start walking to another stage, this girl comes with their friends. We'll call this girl V. They wanted some MDMA, so I share some with them. We sit down to smoke some weed. As we're rolling up J's, V decides to smoke for her first time and take a pill. My stomach growls and I start rolling really intense, eyes wiggling, jaw clenching, and a lot of euphoria. V starts coming onto me, first with a little kiss, then we start going at it. Making out feels very amazing. I lose myself in the moment once we stop kissing. My roll is kicking in very hard. I am feeling great and amazing, very much like MDMA, but lacking a bit on the empathy. Didn't get the love feeling as much. So V wants to go dance. We go while Avicii is playing. We start dancing, and I drop another 2 capsules of 100 milligrams each. V and I are still dancing. It's getting very hot and sweaty. It looks like we just took a shower, and my pills are kicking in very intensely. I am now seeing hallucinations, the kind I get when I do a lot of MDMA. Not really visuals, more of hallucinations, kinda like LSD. As I keep on dancing, I tell V to get some water. We go to the booth, we get 2 water bottles, chug all of it down, and we sat to smoke some weed. When the weed is finished, all the pills hit me at the same time. I had to lay down, so V gives me a massage and then asks me to give her one. This part becomes very intense. Touching feels amazing. V asks to have sex. We go to a safe spot and go at it. I am reaching a level of pure orgasm. We go at it for like 30 minutes, which felt like hours. After it, my body had a very strong high and visuals were very intense. We go back to the dance and I throw up from the dehydration. I leave to get water and I lose V. Damn, I'm very mad, but I can't stress too much about it. My roll starts more intensely. I drop another capsule of 100 milligrams. I am leaving the festival. I get lost in all the music, and I am rolling to an extreme. My jaw is shaking incredibly. I am hallucinating very hard, seeing faces come out of nowhere. My ears are very sensitive, and I hear everything. It feels like too many things are going on at the same time, but I'm handling it very good. I meet up with my friends and decide to go to the beach. When we get there, I have 5 capsules left of 100 milligrams each. I dropped them all in orange juice. I chugged almost the whole thing. Then my friends J and M drank the rest. We start walking on the beach and light up a blunt. Then it hits. Oh my god, what did I get myself into? I am seeing visuals that I didn't think were possible. The clouds are making faces of demons, smiling, looking down at me. Everything seems to be scaring me. I am still able to talk, but for some reason I keep stuttering and getting stuck. I'm seeing patterns everywhere, but when I concentrate, I see faces popping out of the floor. M and J get a telly since we realize we can't stay in the beach because if we do, we were going to die. We end up at the hotel. In the room, there are mirrors everywhere. At this point, I'm not even rolling. I have the body high of rolling, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff. It felt like I dropped 3 LSD stamps. I look at myself in the mirror and I saw myself change to different forms. I felt like everything I was thinking. I was able to see that I changed into these characters in this order. I went from an old man to a prisoner, mechanic, fat person, drug addict, old woman, rapper, dad. And at the end, my eyes got into this super white light, like I had energy coming out of me. My skin was orange, my hair was in flames, and my face was my skeleton, and the background was all black. The past few hours have been so intense. I keep blacking out, but I'm remembering who I am. I see people coming out of the walls, different characters, and I could see myself on the wall like it was a mirror. The wall is leaving a slideshow. I can't believe what my eyes are seeing. I smoke a blunt and lay down. I close my eyes and I can see everything outlined in green. I'm seeing myself run through a field of flowers when I notice my left hand is getting numb, and so is my leg. Then I feel like a shock in it, and I think I am about to have a seizure. I start seeing myself fly through the universe, going through the stars, and then my arm starts burning, and so does my leg, like I'm on fire, and the back of my head is burning as well, with very strong pain. My body starts shaking, my arm goes up in the air, and my leg gets paralyzed, and then starts shaking too. Then my fingers start locking. I'm noticing it, but at the same time, I think it's not real. Then rainbows and demons start going through my vision, and I'm going down a cave like I was going to hell. Demons surrounding me. Faces are everywhere of different people in my life. This goes on for 3 minutes, then M grabs my arm, and I snap back into reality, and everything is back to normal. It is now 3 a.m. and I'm seeing spiders all over the roof. Everything I think about is happening, and I keep hearing noises saying Molly's, Molly's. I hear a girl's voice saying he's rolling, help him, and there was no one there. The walls are melting and everything is leaving white lights. I close my eyes, my jaw is clenching like crazy, and I'm getting a lot of body tremors, and my eardrums kept popping constantly. I was also hearing music from the festival and making music in my head. Also, my brain felt like it was burning, and I would close my eyes and felt like they kept pushing me back in my body. 3 hours later, and I still have not come down. Visuals are less intense, but I'm still on it. I am very delusional, can't concentrate, and very exhausted. Also, my lips are black. I try to go to sleep, which I achieve, but it takes a good 30 minutes. I had no dreams, just a lot of visuals. I felt like I kept falling, but really wasn't. Eventually, I end up falling asleep and I wake up 2 hours later. I smoke a bowl. It brings the high back. It was less intense, but I do have a body high. No visuals unless I really put my mind to it. I smoke a white boy. High gets intense. It lasts about an hour and I come down really good. I finally fell asleep and I wake 8 hours later. I am still very tired and have no energy, very sour and still having problems concentrating and keeping a conversation going. I fall asleep again till the next day. I wake up 16 hours later. Being an experienced drug user, I decided to try a new substance called 6-APB. I read report after report with good and bad divided pretty much equally. Some felt it was the closest thing to MDMA, others said they didn't feel anything. I love MDMA, so I decided to give it a shot. I ordered 2 50-milligram tablets from a respectable vendor online. Various reports seemed to say 100 milligrams was a good dose, and so I thought being experienced would help me along with this new drug. How wrong I was. I received my package late afternoon around 4 and decided to go ahead and take both at once. I hadn't had any good X in such a long time. I was excited and a little nervous. I took one at a time and chewed both and swallowed. Bitter and nasty they were, but nothing that bad. I went to go have a cig while I waited. About 30 minutes later, I noticed the usual effects starting to happen. Heart beating faster, cold feeling, apprehension. I smiled thinking this was going to be great. Wave after intense wave rushed through my body, building greater and greater to an intensity I didn't think I could handle. My body was shivering yet sweating. I felt really fucked up, but not in a good way. Zero euphoria, zero empathy. All this fuzzy, dizzy, pukey feeling in my head and body. I was so fucked up I couldn't even walk. Pleasant waves ran through me, but another feeling was quickly overtaking it. Nausea. Intense, horrible nausea. I rushed into the bathroom and projectile vomited around 12 times or so. My head was buzzing and my body was sweating, pouring sweat, yet I was shaking and feeling extremely cold. A headache began to develop and I was vomiting constantly. I was getting so hot and dehydrated, but every time I took even the smallest drink, I would throw it back up again. I looked at the clock and saw only 2 hours had gone by. I was miserable. I felt like I had the flu, then a horrible migraine developed. I laid in bed for 12 hours, shaking, moaning, and in pain. Every time I changed positions in bed, I would throw up. It was awful, horrible, one of the worst experiences in my life. I should have taken only one at first. Be careful and do your research. Peace. First of all, I would like to point out that the experimentation with these chemical compounds were done knowing all the risks it involved, including what happened later. It's also going to be a very long read since the experimentation took place over a 7-day period total, with the 7 days resting period in between the first experience and the second. Earlier experiences involve MDMA, 2CB, psilocybe cubensis, LSD, marijuana, mescaline, 4-HO-MET, DMT, DPT, 4-HO-DPT, a long list of opiates and benzodiazepines, amphetamine, MDA, MDAI, MXC, ketamine, different synthetic cannabinoids, pregabalin, GHB, GBL, and alcohol. The preparations were made over a period of 2 weeks. A large amount of 6-APB had arrived at my source, and we were to sample this chemical more so than the last time any of us had tried it. The dosages are unknown after a period of time since this drug does affect judgment in a very dangerous way when coupled with a good mood and too much of the chemical in the body. Day 1. Had a decently sized dinner with vitamins as a supplement. Everyone had arrived to my house on the countryside. There were now a total of 5 people that bombed 100 milligrams each. The first effects were felt an hour in, and everybody got somewhat chattier and learned to know one another in a very deep and fascinating way. Some tingling sensations were felt all over the body. Everybody was glowing with energy, and the conversations really hit off, and we got separated into smaller groups since we found it very hard to focus on what people on the other side of the room were talking about. 3 hours in now, and the effects were in full swing, but not one of us were satisfied with the effects, so we bombed another 100 milligrams each. We were still talking as if we'd taken amphetamine, and one of the friends got a guitar out and started playing, which really put us all into a state of trance and pure bliss. Now things are starting to get iffy with my memory. Some confusion was present, but I didn't really reflect over this matter. It was not a big deal since we were so enchanted by each other. The effects were now coming on like I was under the influence of MDMA. In fact, the feeling was so much similar that we started referring to the feeling as being Eid. 6 hours in, another round of bombs were shared. At this point, my guess would be this time that we got between 50 to 150 milligrams each. We weren't really aware of the dosage, given our state of well-being. A few joints were also rolled at this point and smoked in a strangely fast pace for all of us. The marijuana definitely gave the energized rush more energy. It started becoming very trippy at this point. Walls were moving around and colors seemed brighter. The curtains seemed to have a very funny spider web pattern bursting with energy waves. This continued for about 6 hours more, and nothing really notable happened during this time, other than men hugging each other on the floor with almost no clothes on. Wet towels were shared, and a lot of cigarettes. Even those of us who did not smoke cigarettes usually smoked what I would call a large amount of nicotine. At this point, my judgment was gone, and somehow I was talked into snorting a tiny line of MXE. This proved to be both a bad and a great idea. Instantly, I turned into a robot, went into an M-hole while sitting on the toilet, and was sat there for an hour while my friends were trying to get me to move so that other people could use the toilet. The tiny fragments I remember are so extremely hard to explain. It's about as unexplainable as a DMT trip in itself. I remained tripping through the rest of the day while most of the people headed home. One friend stayed and we dropped a bomb sometime in the middle of the day. I can't exactly remember when. At 2200, I was knocked out cold and slept through the entire night like a baby. When I woke up the next morning, I didn't feel bad at all, neither did my friend. We smoked a couple J's and had a pasta dish each and drank some energy drinks and tried to regain as much energy as possible since we knew that there was more coming the same night. We also hydrated with regular H2O and ate 2 multivitamin pills each, thinking this would help us recover a bit more. Night came, and here's where I lost track of pretty much everything. I know it was a great night, and the following 3 days and nights too. However, during this time, I have no idea of how much 6 APB we took, nor do I know who came and who left. I remember we had visitors come from other cities to see how we felt, and they were impressed at how fresh we were when they heard how long we had been going. I know I got a few hours of sleep in here and there, but I was in no way sober during any of this time. I'd say that approximately 1 gram or 1.5 grams was consumed per day, with no bad things happening at all at this point. The general feeling through it all was euphoria. However, this subdued at I believe the end of the 3rd night when it only went to being a very trippy, unrealistic world to live in. By day 4, I called it quits and crashed hard on the couch after a joint and slept for about 6 hours. I was surprised to find 2 of my friends still going. However, the energy was very low, and none of them seemed to enjoy it. all that was left of our happy party of friends was jaw-clenching tired people who needed rest. We decided it was time to call it quits. What ensued was a week of the worst come-down I have ever felt. I was happy, I cried. I was happy, I cried. 5 days straight. I didn't feel any loss of appetite, but this was reported by the other users. The anxiety was killing me, so I decided I was going to take a few Sobril during this week to help mend my problems with the anxiety. This helped a lot, as we all know it does. Here comes the train wreck part of the story. Exactly 1 week after the last race, I decided I should take some more. My body felt fit, my brain was in order, and I decided I could probably take it. 100 milligrams was bombed. I decided I need some social stimulation, so I hit up a chat room with a bunch of cool people. 2.5 hours later, the effects kicked in, but knowing from the last week, the effect of 100 milligrams wasn't enough for me to feel in the right mood. I bombed another 50. At this time, I'm in a much better mood than I was the time before. Even though I was alone, everything just felt right. I was chatty, everyone was friendly, and I was totally engulfed by the computer and could do nothing else than chat. Wellness was felt through the entire body, and I decided I needed no more for a few hours. 7 hours in, I was still chatting away at the computer, and the effects were starting to wear off somewhat, so I bombed another 100 milligrams and awaited the effects while chatting with people from all over the world about everything and nothing. I was in love with the world, the people, and all my friends I had met online, and also tried communicating through the phone with little success. Here things become trippy once more, but in another way. I'm guessing this would be the first sign of what was to come. I got more twitchy, my jaws were really starting to hurt, and my eyes were feeling the pain of being overstimulated for too many hours. Brain-wise, I still felt okay. 7 more hours later, I dropped another 50 milligram bomb and got a friend to come over, which as it turns out was what saved my life this night. I dropped another 100 milligram bomb with my friend, and we started chilling in my bed, getting to know each other better, and talked about what had happened since the last time we met. This was the first time on any sort of stimulant. Turns out he loved this stuff, but we decided to take it easy. The 6 APB hit him hard. He was in love with everything, as expected, of course. The rolling had been going on for a very long time now, and I was feeling somewhat tired and the effects were wearing off, so we decided we would drop another small bomb each, this time around 50 milligrams. Said and done, we dropped it, and within an hour, I felt some very strong warning symptoms. My legs started twitching, the sweating increased from what I am normally used to with high dosages of amphetamine and other stimulants, including 6 APB. Within 10 minutes, I was in such a bad shape that I had to be helped to the bed. Another 10 or so minutes passed until I realized what could have happened to me, and had happened to me. Serotonin toxicity set in, and in a desperate attempt to get help, I got my rolling friend to call 911. He tried contacting a mutual friend of ours over Skype. This did not work out too well since he was unable to communicate properly with the keyboard. He was actually incapable of communicating with regular speech as well. By the time he had managed to call 911, my body went into a state of shock. My heart was racing at 200 beats per minute. My blood pressure was through the roof. It took the ambulance roughly 40 minutes to get to my house, and by the time they got here, 3 patrol cars were already on the scene. For any law enforcement officers reading this, please do not try to communicate in a way that you normally would with the suspect. The way the police were talking to me, walking around my house and observing me with flashlights, made me fall into a state of pure fear. Never in my life have I been so scared, disoriented, and confused as when the officers were pointing their flashlights in my face, around my room, and reading my personal documents. I'm not exactly sure how long it took the ambulance to get here after the patrol cars did, but it felt like an eternity. I couldn't control a single muscle. I was burning up, and the pain in my chest and abdominal area was very intense. My entire body moved around in cramps that seemed like they would never stop, but they did. Once the ambulance got to my home, they gave me a couple of injections of diazepam, and by the time I was in the ambulance, I was out cold. And I stayed out cold for 6 hours, only to wake up at the hospital with involuntary leg movements, pain in the muscles, and a few more injections of diazepam were given to me to keep me asleep for another 6 or 7 hours. Shortly thereafter, I was released from the hospital after having a dinner, another 2 injections of diazepam, and they had to make sure we had a ride home. The reason to why I can and did write this report, it is my first ever written, is to warn people who are stupid enough like me and go over the border, even though we all know what can and will happen if you do this. And also, the last event led me to being charged with several felonies. Therefore, I have no trouble posting this at all. I will be taking 6 APB again, but no more than 100 to 200 milligrams at a few months intervals, because this is something to be respected, just as much as any other stimulant that affect the serotonin receptors in our brain. I would also like to thank my friend who saved my life and didn't leave me during the entire hospital visit.